NCERT is dropping Darwin's theory of evolution.
There's a conflict within the science itself. If there is a dominant recessive gene comes, recessive is suppressed and the dominant gene expresses in the traits.
Chapters based on the history of Mughals. AI already is coming over.
The kind of jobs coming up, career prospects coming up, the demand and the skills around it needs to be a part and parcel.
Chapter of reproduction. It is quite often a taboo subject.
Especially the boys. So that children who doesn't get attention at home, they start detaching themselves from the family.
Welcome to the Urban Yogi Club.
And welcome to the Urban Yogi Club. स्वागत है आप सभी का. We have Rajni ji today, and her introduction is something that difficult for me, so I'll let you take charge, Rajni ji.
Thank you, Akshay, for inviting me for this talk show. I am a thoughts architect. I'm an educationist with 18 plus years of experiences. I have worked across education industry as principal, content head. Right now, also working as a content head. Plus, I have my a small venture called Yours also.
Let's cover up the current topic that I'm really excited to talk to you about. NCERT, the National Commission of Education, is dropping Darwin's theory of evolution from the course of CBSE and curriculum, and they are dropping multiple history chapters, multiple chapters based on the history of Mughals. So please give your thoughts on this.
Very interesting question you brought, Akshay, which is really need of the hour and very controversial also. Shall we remove the Darwin's theory or not? Or what is the hype around it? So, if the benefit also, I think the plus point is that I was a student of cytogenetics. That's my specialization. And Darwin's theory talks about the natural selections. That the environment with the evolutionary time selects the genes or selects the breed or the species and how we evolve.
I think that covers the second question.
That's the second question. But coming to that Darwin's theory, I think it should not be removed from the force as of now, which we understand because we have not come to a concurrent. It took ages for Darwin's to derive.
It's quite a surprise. I mean, if you take away the scientific orientation and are you trying to put a religious context to it, what kind of context is it?
I think there's a conflict within the science itself. Physics is dominated over biology. So there is a scientist called Lord Kelvin, who has come with a thought about the change of the Earth's time, Earth's age. Earth was considered to be with the age of 6,000 million years. But Kelvin says, based on various theory, so there is a theory which is called geological theory. Geological theory talks about the continental drift, volcanic eruption, shifting, creation of the rocks, molten lava, etc. Which says, and with that the age of the Earth is just 20 to 40 million years. That's what the Lord Kelvin's theory has been dominating above Darwin's theory. So there is another theory which is called theory of biodiversity. Biodiversity says that we are so diverse in the biological forms that we have lakhs of species in floras and the fauna in this universe. And that says that the capacity of a genes to mutate or change its configuration is higher, which defines the new species over the time. So both of these theories are basically amalgamation of what it's called as heredity. So there was a scientist called Gregory John Mendel, who is called as the father of biology, according to being, or father of genetics, I would say, according to being who, with various lot of experiments he did on the pea plants. I remember my master's class also.
PEA.
Yes, Punnett square he derived. So that if you cross, there is a recessive gene, there is a dominant gene. So there is a time where there is a coding happens. If both the recessive genes come together, the recessive expressions are expressed in a N1. That's called traits. If there is a dominant recessive gene comes, recessive is suppressed and the dominant gene expresses in the traits. So that's called hereditary, and it is a most important aspect of the evolution. So that is contradicting with the Darwin's theory. Darwin's theory says that it's the natural selection. The nature selects the species, but that's not the concept in the hereditary. It says that the genes pass on from one generation to another, and that's how the traits either are expressive or not expressive. So in genetics, we also see that there is a methyl group which combines with your genome, which changes its configuration. Then it passes to the next generation. The configuration changes. because there is a coding by four, I would say the code, which is ACTT, which is we call, so that these are all scientific terms. The one who are knowing the science can relate with this. So theory of heredity says that. But if you read the book called Two Tales of Species by Charles Dickens, it says now is the right time.
Charles Darwin.
Charles Dickens. 1859, he wrote a book called Two Tales of the Cities. Two Tales, Cities, which says that there's a line in that book which says that now is the time and now is not the time. Means when Darwin created the theory, that was the time of his creation. But today, when we are contradicting Darwin's theory, now is the time when it is not the right time to carry forward the Darwin's theory. So those lines written in 1859 is now. So it's all revolving around the Kelvin's theory, as physics is considered more dominating above biology, because law of thermodynamics defines the age of the earth. As the age of the earth is also, the timelines are contradictory. Darwin's theory is getting contradictory. So it's a matter of, I would say, a discussion.
Are they not saying it's 4 billion years ago? Age of Earth was approximately
6,000 billion years, millions years ago, was as per the earlier records. But Kelvin says it's 20 to 40 million.
All right.
Based on the law of thermodynamics, based on contingency laws, factors.
4 billion years, I think. 40 million. Oh,
40 million.
All right. So now that theory is taking over Darwin's theory. So, and that is the general scientific approach or agreement at the moment. That's what you're saying. That is the reason for this change. Is that what you're saying?
So we always have advocates in the society. We have experts in the society, but scientists are against it because Darwin's theory has been proven all these years. I would say since 1650 onwards till now. It's I think more than 500 years. It's a long duration. Changing it drastically just with a certain code has to be proven. So science always comes in the matter of evidences. So it's a wait and watch. But yes, if NCERT or the National Curriculum Framework is taking up the decisions to remove it.
Has there been a statement by NCERT folks or from the CBSE folks about why they are making these changes? Is this the same justification that they have given now?
So the justification comes with the same line of thought that Darwin's theory was around the natural selection. But the dominance is about the hereditary traits, how the trace passes, so which doesn't matches with the Darwin's theory.
Everybody agrees that there have been geological changes, continents have drifted apart, there have been floods, there have been droughts, and because of that, environment has come into play. So does the Galapagos Islands, Sundarbans.
Right.
There's a difference in the ecological and biological life because of the difference in the environment they've had. So that is basically how Darwin got to this theory. So how do you disprove it? So what is your thought in this? I mean, are we not out of Homo erectus, have not come up as Homo sapiens, or do we have a different kind of genetics altogether? What was the thought about it?
So I would say that's called a book of horror. What your ancestral scientists or the people or the scholars have told, we are just following it. Have we seen it is the question. Now the another question which I would like to pose.
No, that's what the flat earthers would say. Have you seen the Earth? The Earth is
Have you seen the Earth? Have you seen how many species are still existing in the oceans? Have we discovered that or not? Itself is a question now. So as it's evolution always talk about, natural selection of course is there. Evolution also talks about existence of the one which is dominant and the strong, and perishing of the one which is weak. So maybe today's Darwin theory is getting weaker as compared to the hereditary theory. So the choice, the nature is selecting itself, and people are backing up on this.
I think we can mix both the ideas because a lot of, if you talk about hereditary theory or hereditary theory that you think is more evolving at the moment, I think that is a side traction from the Darwinian theory as well, as selection often happens, but a lot of environment and nature is also involved in causing that selection. Yeah, many of the species have gone away because of that selection. So somewhere there has to be a branch of one or the other that has to extend from Darwin to the hereditary one, or from the hereditary to the Darwin one. So I think we can.
So now there is a contradiction between physics and biology. So physics says something else, biology says something else. In nature, what exists, what doesn't exist, we don't know. So we may have worked on what is existing, and we have, I would say, neglected what is not existing. Maybe something is there, so tomorrow something else may come out.
That's the age we're living in. We are disproving all the thoughts we've had so far and, challenging our own selves. So I think that's quite interesting. All right. How about the second part of the question? How about the Mughal history? A lot of people are saying that it is done as by the central government, advised by the central government to whitewash or take off a lot of Islamic aspects in the Indian history and remove them and add on more of a Vedic aspect or more of a Indian frame of things. I think that's what they're trying to put up. So what is your insight into it? How do you take this?
See, this is a very, very contradictory, or I would say, perspective from different segment. But when you talk from the perspective of the from the national insight, we need to talk about India. We need to talk about what was the history of India. We need to talk about the culture, tradition of India. We need to talk about the well-being of humans. Beyond these, of course, in the history book, we have never spoken about the virtues of the glory of India. We've always spoken about who invaded India. We've spoken about who hampered India in the negative context. But what was the beauty of India?
I think what they have removed is a golden era that has been described from the Mughal Empire. I mean, they have described it as a good period for the overall integration of Indian economy, and we did pretty well at that time, I think. So that's what been taken off.
So it's taken off is about the Mughal invading and how they hampered. But what existed, what was the beauty in that area should have not been removed. Because that was our cultural heritage. That's about the pride that what existed in India. India was so rich about it. Because the youth should know about what existed. What youth are seeing is what is right now. They have no relatable evidence or understanding of what India was. That's why if you see the mass is migrating outside also. So there is a lot of psychological and behavioral impact about not knowing what is golden and knowing about what was in the negative context. So I think that part of what existed in the golden period should have been redeemed. And removing of how and who has broken it.
So do you agree to the changes made, or do you feel...
To an extent.
To an extent.
To an extent.
Why are such an advocate of, especially about coding, when AI already is coming over? So it might just go away soon. Can you explain a little bit about it?
So again, here comes the evolution theory. We need to evolve. Olden days, we had all those 5 subjects. The kind of jobs coming up, the kind of career prospects coming up, the demand and the skills around it needs to be a part and parcel. And I think when we talk about from the school's perspective and the children's acquiring the knowledge, the learning capacity, that's called a cognitive load. And we know that after 12th, we do have IT sector, we do have places where coding works, we need to automate.
So before we get there, sorry to interrupt, could you please elaborate a little bit about your involvement in what all the aspects, education के बारे में, curriculum के बारे में, what all have you advocated so far? And आपके कौन-कौन से सुझाव अभी तक accept किए गए NCERT द्वारा?
So I advocate that education is not only about academics. There are a lot of other elements on the education which needs to be imbibed and implemented. So I think new education policy has brought a lot of certain pointers where I was covered by the DD News as well and Z News as well, and All India Institute of Local Self-Government also, where I've advocated robotics, I've advocated life skills coming up and the wellness program. I've advocated coding as well. And I've also advocated which is called DIY, do it yourself. Because hands-on learning is called experiential learning, where a child's all the 5, I would say the trajectory, whether it's spatial, kinesthetic, visual, auditory, and touch, feeling, everything is involved. So self-learning, because we have variety of pupils in our classrooms, it's very important that we express our learning. If you see the entire pattern of the examination evaluation is also changed. In a classroom, maybe possible is that there are students who are very good in writing and expressing their learning. There may be students who are good in the presentation. But there are students who are neither vocal nor good in writing, but they're able to make the projects, automate it, and showcase their learning through the projects. So it's important that the learning is happening in the classroom at the end of the day. So these are the areas where I advocate that over.
Have you been a part of the committee?
I've not been a part of the committee, but I pushed across my thought process, and couple of them is already seen in. Like one is the happiness part of it also. The happiness and the peace is very, very important. And these days, if you see, there are a lot of coaching classes happening around the wellness and happiness and peace and life skills. So CBSE has brought mandatory life skills that is called lifeology as a compulsory subject in the schools. Because lifeology is very, very important than subject dominance. We need to grow as a good human. We need to grow at a national level and upskill ourselves and have multiple opportunities in terms of being good human will derive everything at the end of the day.
Okay. And coming on to the coding's question, I mean, do you think it's a little too late to introduce coding into the curriculum, or would it pay off dividends in the future?
I think it's the right time. AI, if it's expect to implement at this level, at that age bracket, is not a justice to a student. AI is the higher version. Augmented reality, AR is the another higher version. AI, machine learning, and AR, I would say that is more reliable at the universities, colleges, and the later level. But the base of AI and AR is what? It's all about coding. So that's why if you've seen the curriculum has also brought coding from the grade 6 onwards. So let the child for 4-5 years understand the programming, the basis. So coding is required. Now you have multiple projects happening in schools, whether it is in science, math, social science. You remember our school days, we used to design a project and just present it. And we used to talk about it. We never thought that I can automate that project. So one of our projects...
I used to automate it.
So you, of course, you're in...
I used to buy it.
Actually, you used to buy it. But now children are automating itself. In my organization, when I was working as an L&D head for EOB automations in Bangalore, we were specialized in the curriculum for automating the projects. So the curriculum was designed in such a way. So there was a school called Sri Ravi Vidya Mandir in Bangalore, in Electronic City, where the children have designed. The problem statement was that the entry and exit of the school gate was one. So the children themselves have designed a traffic signal, automated it. They have done the listening work. They have built up the entire traffic signal as compared to what's on the road. They have put the LED lights, they have put the signals, and they have done the automating of that through a coding programming. So what are we doing? We are working on the social and economic problems of the society, but done by the students. So they understand that how they can solve the problem. Today, AI is doing what? It's solving the problem. AR is bringing you more closure to the society to understand the problem statement. So that's why I think the coding is very, very important in this community. To work on the problem statements and make your life easier. Because these days, we all want our life to be easier, simplify, and quick. So that's what the coding does.
So now, in which classes or at what age group is coding a part of the curriculum?
So for which most of the school starts with the, I would say the class 3 also, very basics. Very, very basics like, logo comes in. But then most of the school starts with the grade 5 and 6 onwards. Because then you bring a little programming on Java, you bring programming on C, you bring some programming on the code, because there are a lot of free courses available also online. So that's, I think, 5th and 6th and the 6th grade is the right age bracket, because you get the 5-6 years to take it up, to understand the basics.
So biology teacher, right?
Yes, I was actually for biology.
So how did you approach the subject or the chapter of reproduction when it comes to teaching them to students? Because it is quite often a taboo subject in the schools, and कभी-कभी teachers बोलते you can just read it yourself. तुम्हें तो सभी आता होगा, or stuff like that happens.
That's like my memories. I remember that's like my memories of DPS. The first time it was a 9th grader, because the chapter is a 9th.
And there's always
the kind of smile and especially the boys.
Under the girls talk a little slowly, so they are not as loud. But
little shy. Now it has become very welcome. So that kind of atmosphere is not there. But those days, I think the year was 2008. 2007, 2008, the first time when I had interacted.
When it comes to the women body parts, the girls start blushing. When it comes to guy parts, they start nudging each other. So it's really...
Jump directly to the reproductive part, the reproduction, right?
That's the smallest part that teachers cover.
Right. But accepting what we are is something very important. So first question is who we are, how we are made, what is our structure.
Take the fun out of it. Is that how?
Like a fun out of it meant deliver in a different way. The moment I ask you who you are, what you're made up of, how is your structure, what are the organs you have, what is the purpose, you have to drive the curiosity. And a teacher should be more acknowledgeable than the students, then only they will listen to you.
So what is your step one to go about this subject?
So this is how what I'm sharing is I go about it. I will throw a question which is like, I've never heard about it. Now the child has to think about it. It's curious. I give you 2 minutes.
So ask me the question.
So that's very on spot. That's interesting. Okay, how many cells are in your body?
Billions and...
No, give me the number.
500 billion.
No, that's wrong. How many genomes in your body?
1,000.
How many vital organs
Vital organs.
in your body?
21.
No.
Okay.
Okay. How many, I would say that muscles work when you smile?
7.
How many bones in your body?
206.
That's the one thing out, isn't it?
7 is also right. Or is it?
7 is 11. It's 11.
I knew that.
Yes, it's 11. So this is how you throw a couple of questions, then you divide them into the group, then you make a quiz, then you give them the value, and these values numbers have been adding on class to class. You have to make it very, very exciting and attractive. Then what happens? The next class, they are so prepared. Today what she's going to ask, I don't know. So they will come up more prepared with some new questions also. They will ask you. So that's what I told in the beginning, that learning is very important. No matter you at the age of 30, 40, 50, keep on learning and be better as a mentor.
So coming back to the topic, so how do you approach that? So now we have had this questionnaire.
School. You were born as a male, why? You were born as a female, why? What is difference between a male and female? Right, after all those questions. Now what is the purpose of reproduction? From where these speciesness come? The moment you get educated, you're not getting into academics. You are educating yourself for the purpose of your life. The reproduction is called as the, multiplication of the generation, and that's how the species are formed. So I gave them the understanding of the concept of why reproduction is important, and to ensure that is being taken care by individual. We are defining that certain reproductive organs which is designed in this form. Now that form and the design is explained to the student. But if you directly jump that this is your reproductive organ, the purpose-driven teaching is not happening. So this is how then you come to the concept of the organs, the structure, how it is done, and that. That's how you have to write. So it takes the first full class in terms of linking a child's psychology, thoughts, and all the factors related to the topic, giving him various aspects of the body.
That's very interesting. Because nowadays, there's a lot of gender fluidity around the topic. And has anybody come to you? Has a guy come to you or a girl come to you that I feel I don't belong to this body, or I feel like a guy? A girl says like I feel like a guy, or a guy says I feel like a girl. So there is a lot of ongoing at the moment, a lot of gender fluidity. So has that been any of your experiences? Have you come across such an experience in your career?
Of course, in last 5-6 years, the university, colleges, students too, they feel that we are as human more, and there is a concept that no, this is not for males and this is not for females. I can do both. I will do it. But the law of nature also has to be, yes, that these things have come to me as case. I've seen more that there's influence of the society and the social media. That yes, we can do. But the end of the day, it is very important for us to, as a parent, as a society, as a mentor, to make them understand the beauty of the law of nature. Why I was born as a female, why I was born as a male, is very important, because you need to respect the birth you're given. It may vary from people to people. There is nothing a male cannot do. There is nothing a female cannot do. But your energy, your aura, and that feminism and masculinism is defined by the nature, which needs to be accepted with pride. that is something where it is little bit on a, I would say, a fluctuating side. Not numbers,
On the balance.
on fluctuating sides. That kind of fluidity has come. He's a man, I can do. But the end of the day, the harsh fact is that two different genders are born with a two different energy level. A masculine do have, I would say, feminism. It's suppressed. Feminisms do have masculinism. It is also
Acknowledgement is important of harm.
hormonal defines is that, but this hormonal imbalance has gone up on a different, I would say, a paradigm shift in terms of the kind of food, culture, and the exposure we have. So that's why you see the issues have grown up. Fluidity is there, but the issues of the relationships have also grown because of breaking this barrier, or breaking the norms of understanding and accepting, yes, we are born for something special. So we are losing our integrity from speciality to generality, I was. So this should not happen.
Yeah, well, absolutely. I mean, it's a confusing subject for me.
Otherwise, doing everything anyone can do.
Absolutely.
A male can be a good speaker, a female can be a good speaker. A male can be a cook, female can be a cook.
Skill-wise, I think there is nothing.
You can wear anything that's...
Absolutely.
But your behavior is something which has to be a feminism, is a feminism. There's a beauty to it. A masculine behavior has to be a masculine behavior. There's a beauty to it. Emotions both do have.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, that's why some of the girls would be like, "Main jaunga, main khaunga," and
Tomboys, kind of. Yes.
yeah, so there's always a fluidity, and it is actually spilling out of everybody nowadays, I think, and they're just trying to express.
बाउंड्रीज होनी जरूरी है. बाउंड्रीज है तो सब है, बट कहाँ क्या बाउंड्री दे दी है वो बहुत इंपॉर्टेंट है लाइफ. अदरवाइज बाउंडलेस हो जाए तो इट्स वेरी डिफिकल्ट टू यू नो कि ओशन का क्या विड्थ है, यूनिवर्स कहाँ तक है, पहाड़ कहाँ तक है, वो ढूंढते ही रह जाओ एंड द लाइफ विल गेट ओवर. सो बाउंड्रीज आर हेल्दी.
Absolutely. So, nature or nurture? Who do you advocate?
I would say I would advocate first nature, because nature itself will nurture you. So nurturing is an element of a nature.
Okay.
If nature exists, yeah, see, you have seen दरख्त होते हैं पहाड़ों में, अपने आप नर्चर होते हैं, कुछ नहीं करते हैं, बट वो खड़े हैं एंड दे आर ग्रोइंग, राइट. हमारी लाइफ भी अगर हम कई बार कुछ नहीं करते हैं, साइलेंस इज एवरीथिंग, लाइफ हैपन्स. तो नर्चरिंग इज द एलिमेंट ऑफ द मदर नेचर. So have a nurturing nature.
But nature is important.
Nature is important. Your nature defines everything.
Okay. There's another paradox I want to talk about. Have you done something research or read about the three sibling paradox that is there? Well, okay, sure. The three sibling paradox exists. Like the first child, जो बड़ा है बच्चा और जो सबसे छोटा बच्चा है, they would have a different level of attention, and the middle child is the one जो suffer करता है ज्यादा because of a lack of attention, lack of interest.
Yeah, I got it.
So, since you're a student of psychology and you kind of follow such traits, so I want to understand if you have read about the subject or...
My experiences of two sibling, I would say, parameters.
Two sibling parameter is pretty even now, but three is a paradox. Three is a paradox for the middle child because the middle child always ends up as a little bit weird on the two because they are paid least attention about.
Yeah, they are attention deficit children. But I tell you, these children grow better than the elder and the young. Okay. Reason is, it's always says कि किसी बावर को स्विमिंग पूल में डाल दो, उसको स्विमिंग नहीं आती है, वो हाथ पैर मारेगा, and even learn to swim and cross. So the middle children are always like that. If you don't pay attention, because they know they have to do something, they have to grow and they want something for themselves, they will start putting the efforts by themselves onto various sides and aspects. But yes, there is a negative side of it because they start looking for that affection, attention outside the home.
Yeah.
That sometimes spoil them. I've seen certain cases of the drug abuse in that cases, which I have solved also. It takes years and years of... So that children who doesn't get attention at home, they start detaching themselves from the family. And later on in their life also, the kind of relationships they carry, they are not able to have the harmonious relationship with the partner because they are not used to that kind of attention and care. They want it. but they feel suffocated when they get extra attention and care because they're not used to. So it always says that what you're used to, you love that. So that is really a psychological issue or effects happening in the society these days. It's not about the middle children. Even there are parents who are having one child. They both are working in corporates. This one child also is becoming this. So it's a very different, a bigger issues happening.
Yes, it's a different dimension at the moment. But that's a very interesting topic you have come about, because I also wanted to ask you that now that social media has grown up such a wildfire, and if the validation is you're getting from social media,
Question, validation.
it's something that is much more than you ever expected or got from your friends, your parents, and that's why we are loving it so much. That's why we are so addicted, because people validate and appreciate the efforts we are putting in. So is that belittling our relationship with our parents, with our family, and making us more as somebody who wants that attention, more of an attention seeker, or I want to be a center of attention, or is it taking us away from the family structure in that ways?
Humans are a bundle of emotions. No matter how we grow big by age or we make a lot of money or whatever, but we always look forward towards others for the validation of our emotions. Now, this is a very interesting question you asked. I was talking to one of a student since I think some 6 months back about her validation from her parents or from the friends. The answer of the child was the validations from my friends and the society, because I dwell there most of the time. They have this psychological status symbol where they don't meet the parameters of their friends outside or the society or the social media. They go into the anxiety part or the depression part of it. Social media has hyped it a lot. But the first question to all the youth or generally to the people here are that, have you accepted yourself first is the question. What is your parameter to rate yourself? Do you know yourself completely, right? Are you happy with yourself? It's very important to have the validations for yourself by yourself first. I may be good at certain things. So
That's a very deep knowledge. It takes years.
I had the question with this girl. I have a question with this girl that, okay, fine, 1,000 people validated you, you are not good at this. What after 4 years, 10,000 people validate you and tell you are good at this? So will the validation shift? So validation shift from society from time to time. But the validation of your parents, validation of your friends, or the core family members will never change, because they've seen you growing up. They've seen you. That's the journey which everyone carries from a baby.
But that's the thing. You haven't got the validation so far from them, so you seek more and more of that.
And when you start getting validation from home, you get suffocated. I, as a child, has not got attention, I would say. So this is a case with me as well. I have not got attention, but I'm always a giver, abundant giver. I've given a lot of attention and care. So now when I started getting it past 4-5 years, I used to feel suffocated. So I have to tell my mother that, fine, I know you're my mother, we love each other, but do not give it too much of, I would say, extra love, because now she's growing old. She felt a self-realization that she couldn't because of the time and the family structure. She wants to give, but lesser, because I'm also not used to. I'm also grown up. So that creates a healthy atmosphere when there is a communication and understanding.
Well, Indian mothers get upset when you say something like that.
I know that, but then we have to make them understand. Because when you're growing up as an individual,
Then they taunt you and
but you grow up with a relationship also.
Okay.
When you're born, when you're in school, you hardly have couple of friends and people in family and friends. Then you go outside the college, as you grow in age, your number of relationships also increases, your time divides, everything divides. So the two generations need to understand this. This is the biggest gap between two generations. Parents सीख नहीं तो बच्चा है मेरा. But parents also need to understand that जब वो बच्चा था तो उसकी ज़िंदगी में 5 लोग थे. आज उसकी ज़िंदगी में शायद 250 लोग भी है, 500 भी है.
It's difficult to let go of,
I know. But then there is a talk always around. That talk needs to happen. This is missing in most of the family when there is no talk. I say some, you say some, we make understand each other and we live in harmony. That's very important.
Truly said. All right. So that's very well how you have described the dynamics of relationship that is ongoing and that could be developed and how it could be improved and bettered. So that's absolutely there. Okay. Now there's another interesting question. You have been a teacher, right? So have you been somebody like an invigilator, or have you been a part of a flying committee like that, and entered the school and checked the kids randomly and you were
We have 5 teachers over the, or 5 HOPs with the part of that randomly role. And kids were very scared of us. Which was, 3 of us, the kids used to be very scared. We used to walk in the corridors, they used to run away. So we had those kind of
So have you got any weird chits hidden in weird places?
We've got weird chits, we have got weird stuffs, we have got weird letters, everything we have got. But that happens at the part.
Any story that you could narrate,
It's a weird love letter we're also getting.
during exams?
Yes, during exams. Because if you're on the last day on the exam, that is the safest time to give it and run for 2 months because you're coming back 2 months, so things will settle.
Okay.
So thought process of the children are that as well.
Right. So did you deliver that to the recipient?
So we delivered to the recipient asking to read it out, then making him understand that it happens, the age factor, everything. Then checking with the person also, one-on-one separately, because maybe this fellow do have the feelings, but the girl doesn't know about it.
That's it was a guy who worked on it.
Yes. So keeping that also is that. So I've got apology letter also in return, many of them. I have students who were like, I would say, very notorious, a bunda kind of. But today he's a doctor. And he always says that, ma'am, just because of you, I've become a doctor. Otherwise, I was a spoiled brat. So that's how you care with them like a mother. Because I think teaching is a profession. It's not about teaching. It's about the second mother being around the children. So if they love you, they will just follow you.
A lot of backbenchers turn out to be the front runners when it comes to careers. But during school, during school hours, they tend to have a backbench and rather avoid a teacher's gaze.
Keep shuffling the places.
Rather avoid the teacher's gaze, and teacher don't even pay attention to that.
So that's the first thing should happen in the class. The moment teacher enters, she should have certain tricks. All the A's will sit in the first, and all the C will be sitting in the third. Something keep on changing, because that shuffling will keep on changing the configuration of the classroom, and it will bring a different behavioral aspect, a change in the children also. That is very well.
Now, recently, a news came by. There have been around 4 to 5 suicides in one of colleges in south of India. A couple of them happened in IITs a couple of weeks ago. So that is absolutely, and every year, thousands of students commit suicide while studying, after exams, after results, and because of the pressure, the depression they are feeling. So how do you educate children or parents about taking it easy and not being bothered as much as to take your life?
See, the kind of pressure has grown up very high, Akshay, these days. The aspirations have grown, the competition have grown.
Are they committing suicide? Has there been any research? Are they committing suicide because of the expectation they have from this themselves, or is it more about the pressure?
Expectations from everyone.
Everyone.
Let me ask you one question. I have asked to many parents, right? You want your child to become something, but without his existence, how will he become? You are pressurizing him. You want him to become something which you want. Have you checked on his aspirations? Have you checked on his life, what he's looking for? Your duty as a parent.
We know better.
So there's two things. One is called socialization. Then there is second, which is called behavioral socialization. Socialization talks about imbibing the values and ethics, which is the duty of a parent. Parent's duty is to educate a child. Because parent himself, he doesn't know what are the career options you're pressurizing a child. What are the avenues outside? You never know. So you are also coming from a constrained thought process, right? So behavioral socialization says that when the child steps out in the society, he is learning the behaviors from outside. and then imbibing and reshuffling the values he carries, which is not acceptable by the parents inside the house. So there's a contradict. So if you talk about the children have started having the fear factor of sharing with the parents what they are doing outside and what kind of friends and the talks they have outside. They don't do it because the parents are not friend these days. Social media is a big platform where everything is available. Knowledge, Google is everything. It's a baba, right? So, I think it's very important to go and flow, upgrading the skill of your child. Let him become a conscious decision maker and choose, but be a part of their selection process. Don't enforce. You give him 10. But if you give him only one and one and one and you ask him to only choose that, that's a wrong way of a parent. As a parent, you need to give him 10 options. Now, out of the 10, you're giving him being flexible to choose. And so let him choose. Be a part of his journey. So I think these things are not happening from parents, number one. Second, if I go into a subject, especially like quotas and RT, child have pressure from the teacher also. Because there's a benchmark, quotas benchmark. Right? So everyone is evolving around their benchmarks and aspiration on that one single soul. So we are doing injustice. Let's be flexible. I've seen people who are not doing good up till the age of 40, but after 40, the journey picks up. Bopin Irani, I met him in Bombay, I remember in 2010. At 42, he was having a chai ka dhaba and he was to have a photography. At 42, Munna Bhai MBBS ki. There are many examples of even your your author, Rudyard Kipling. 13 books were rejected. So everything has its time. J.K. Rowling herself. You had your time to launch yourself. Life will launch yourself. Don't pressurize. Let it happen. And it's step by step. Take one day at a time. It's for parents. It's for the teachers. It's for the society also. And competition and the comparison is the biggest poison which I've seen. Have comparison or competition to yourself. Today I'm here. Tomorrow I should be here. So increase your level within yourself rather than competing. Who is the benchmark? Tell me. Industries were different earlier. Now the comparative style of industry has gone to a different level. Earlier, otherwise we used to have Tata, Mahindra and a couple of them.
Right.
Now it's gone to Google and IBM and other. So tomorrow maybe something new will come. So benchmark keeps on changing, but life is only one and very fresh. So that is the understanding which a parent and the society should have.
All right.
Because that's what the nature and the nurture. Nurture is the nurture. Nurturing is very, that's based on your, see, every child's neural development is different. Cognitive load is different. Every child's development factors are different. So this kind of orientation should happen of the society, parents and teachers also.
So recently, Rajni ji, there is a development by central government, or new introduction, I would say, of sanitary pads and giving it out free to girls. So I think that's a really good development on our part and really something, a positive change for the sake of girls, I would say.
I think that's a very important, when we talk about the production, we talk about the sex education, we need to know ourselves, and also it's a social problem, social and economic problem both. Sanitary pad has become a mandate because we all know that's the part of parcel of the female life. So it's a good move that it's freely distributed in the government schools. But there are organizations also manufacture these and they give freely to the teachers also with the sanitary pad and tampons also. They have been started marketing it to spread the awareness that and also how to use it. What are the hygiene factors? What is important during the menstruation cycle? What is not? Such kind of orientations are also given along with the sanction. So it's a very important one.
So that's a great development and I think initiative by the government to provide such.
But it is towards the social cause. So we have become more problem-solving society. So I think the move towards solving a problem is always a positive side. Accepting is very important.
Any other changes that you'd like to suggest that could be made for the betterment of children or betterment of women in schools or ladies?
I think the women and the ladies in these schools should be given some more skilling time, which is very important part of the activities rather than being only in the class and among the students.
Expecting a lot from the teachers and don't know what's the community gonna say.
So if a teacher, for example, is a good speaker, she should be motivated to have a YouTube channel, and she should have a motivation of running her podcast or a talk show. She can do it off hours, and it's hardly once or twice a week. So that kind of skilling I am just looking for, because that gives a lot of confidence to the teachers. I'll tell you why. Because schools have started these, I would say, course which is called as presentation skills. If a teacher herself is not clear with the kind of presentation skills she or what he carries, what are you going to imbibe in the students? So first, do yourself to let the people follow is always a way which is practice, because teachers are the best leaders.
Training sufficient hai itne sare teachers ko to make them adequate with the current need. You need to update them regularly, train them properly, because the training aspect is taken very lightly as far as I understand, right? It's not taken seriously enough. They don't put up enough time and energy, and the presentation is pretty vague, and the duration is just not done, which is needed for the teachers to be able to grab that course, grab the subject, and, be able to populate it out with the students.
Actually, I would say the positive aspects bring positive behavior. But the positive has to be positive in every concept, every aspect of a teacher's life. If you expect a teachers to do, I would say, huge work within a defined standard bracket, then there is injustice also. So, of course, a school has to define a committee, group the teachers. So there can be a group of teachers who are trained on particular 2 types of skills. I'm also seeing this, yes, the training is just on the words. That's why the new education policy has also brought, I would say, the edtech firms as a vendors who becomes the training partners to these schools, so that the teachers are also not burdened. But yes, whether the training is feasible or is applied or not is not happening.
It's just not sufficient for a teacher to be an expert in the subject or grab an entire behavior.
Has to be practice. Practice makes anyone's perfect. Practice brings the culture. So practice is something missing, which is missing as a part of the training.
You don't have an incentive for it, so why would you practice? It's just
you're handling kids, you're handling life, and not one of two.
It's a job which requires a lot of sacrifice from your part, and even you will never be compensated enough. That is something you can make a note of and write down in your wall, that will never be done. But the amount of time you have to spend to upgrade yourself and to be able to imbibe those qualities and upgrade your skills and be able to deliver them with the students. So I think that aspect is missing.
The aspect of training is all about human psychology, which needs to see that learning is very important. It may not reap immediately, but the fruits will bear in coming times. There is a cultural setback in teachers or in the education segment. What will I do out of this training? But it varies from people to people. I would say there is exception, few very small segment who understand that how will it improvise you with overcoming years. But that kind of psychological workshops or trainings are also missing. Why and what and how? How will I benefit of this training? That is the first step to be taken when you are going to train to any of the teachers. If you ask me, I have trained myself on various areas myself because I understood and I had unfolded the journey in terms of understanding that education is not only about a subject. So there was a hunger. The day this hunger comes among the teachers, the training will be a successful part of the education, which is right now missing on.
Well, who to blame about it? I mean, there's a lot of gaps, a lot of missing.
It's a two-way job.
Yeah, indeed.
Accept, receive.
Yeah.
So if the acceptance is there and the receiving is missing, the receptors are weak. So similar, if I'm receiving, but the other person who is delivering, their receptor is weak. So there is no, I would say, give and take relationship.
A huge reason that people are not able to feel satisfied in their jobs, or they're not willing to grow in their jobs, or not, it feels empty to them because they don't really connect with it. So how do you encourage youth to find that specific area of interest, or that aim for something that you feel really passionate about? How do you make them diverge into that thought process and find it out?
It's a very, very, I would say, topic of a huge discussion. Perspective varies. Career is something which can be defined, redefined, and reestablished. I've seen people, I myself has changed from a teacher to, I would say, from school as a principal, then being a part of the EdTech learning, starting my own venture. So there's a journey towards it. If you,
But you wanted to be all of those things.
I wanted to be all of this, but I discovered on the journey.
Right, but you wanted to be a teacher, so you became a teacher.
So I would say
There are people who might not want to be teacher, but they are teachers. So it's just that they are not in the right place at the right
it's
spot.
the relentless and the curiosity which drives everything. I'm an SSB Air Force cleared candidate, but I had always this passion of the education to deal among teachers in the mass. I just left and I jumped over there. I started
I have a motion to take forward. If people, those who have cleared SSB and not joined, should not get a chance to brag about it.
Okay. No, I'm not bragging. I'm saying how did I choose the path and how did I unfold it, and why I chose to become a principal. Why did I choose to become a content head, and how I chose to also become a thoughts architect. So it's a journey which unfolds. So I would say as you experiences, as you travel a lot, as for the youth also, learn as much possible. Because when you learn, the narrowness, this, so people say out of the box. I have always been advocate of there is no box, because you are going to miss the outside element and the inside. Just break it up, travel as much, learn as much. Your perspective will change. You will get to know the career options more. If you talk about the parents today, parents are comfortable with children to choose a particular career. This is very important because they are not aware of those options and they are uncomfortable around those options. एक fear factor क्या होता है? But the kids are more aware about. Blog writing itself is a big business today, right? Content writing itself. There is a therapist which is called museum therapist. People don't know, and they are paid in lakhs per month. So there are career options because as a parent, I'm uncomfortable. I have my conditioning done. I'm not aware of the career avenues. I have a fear. So I am putting my aspirations and understanding on a child. It's very important that you start exploring your interest from the class 6 onwards. Channelize the skills from class 3 onwards, I would say. But explore, because from class 6 to college, you have a very big window of 7 to 8 years to understand. These are the top 3 skills I'm very good at. I might be good at some other, but I'm best at these 3. So my career options can be on the 3 areas. Choosing is easier. So youth needs to also have a self-realization and find it. And I would say the youth are very sensible and very, very sensitive about themselves these days. They can do by themselves, but they need a right mentor who can guide them that yes, what you're doing makes sense. Is right or wrong has no. Acceptability, right, wrong, rejection are these words we use. But whether it is worth or not, will it have further opportunities or not, is there someone to guide them as well?
And that's the key area.
Even to the parents, counseling these days is required. Because parents doesn't know. So when you don't know, you come from the seat of fear.
Absolutely. And that fear drives them to do, what do you say? Drives them to be a little protective about the kid, be a little more conscious about his safety rather than the exploration part.
Question to the parents or everyone who has seen life. Just think about it. Who has seen life? What you experience is life for you. So let your range, let your platform be so big that let you experience life from all the 8 sides. What is best for you, choose and go ahead. Because I would say in my last interview also, as you were talking other day, there are 258 careers, but down the line there will be more careers coming in. How many of the parents are aware of those?
258, I could hardly count 20, but 250 is too big a number.
It's too big of a number. But there are a lot of areas. Like today, even I'm looking for someone who edits my video. So there is a video editor's job also existing. And the kind of money they make is huge. So it's about of course, having a career which gives you a good handsome of money. But what about the career which gives you a good handsome money along with your time to do something which you love about? Life is all about that, living a peaceful and happy life. And the end, we all move towards wellness program. We try to find peace. Why not to start doing it from the beginning itself? How much money is the question mark? What is success is the question. We a 5 lakh monthly job or 2 lakh monthly job is called successful. What about the one who is earning 10 lakh is successful? What about the person who is earning 1 lakh but is able to make passive source of income, travel, have good lifestyle, everything? Which is more successful is the question. Someone at peace, which is more successful. So that defines from person to person. But these kinds of, I think the coaching sessions are required. That's what we do in the thoughts architect design also.
But 258 is more of a urban number. The rural number would be much less if you talk about career options. So how do you propagate the program in rural areas? How do you encourage individuals or, has NCERT made any provisions or CBSE or any of the central agencies given any provisions for the rural areas in Northeast, for example, or difficult areas where it's not much reachable?
So there are a couple of factors which Akshay, according to me, matters. Resources. Migration has increased. If you see North Indian belts, they all move to Delhi, NCR, right? South, of course, there is Bangalore, Mumbai, Hyderabad, Chennai. These are the hubs. People start moving, and now Ahmedabad as well. Resources matters, but we have to also understand the concept of our Prime Minister, which is Digital India. We also need to filter out that there are a lot of jobs which are online these days, right? Are we able to guide our youth that these jobs are also online? I would say COVID has been a blessing because COVID brought the picture of working from home also. The work jobs have increased during COVID or work from home. So the insights and the awareness of that these are the jobs which can be done from home and online is available even to a tier 2, tier 3 and tier 4. Being a digital India, everyone do have internet these days. But important is the awareness of those jobs reaching out to the tier 2, tier 3, tier 4. Now the onus lies with the parents,
the
society, mentorship, and the universities and colleges where the students are studying.
How do you provide mentorship in these areas? That's the key question to be asked, I think, because internet has a lot of content, and I'm pretty sure you will get drowned in, of course, the trending stuff, of course, not about the involvement in career aspects, and futuristic approach would be much less without mentorship and without a guidance. So how do you provide that guidance in those areas?
So, see, mentors, as you said, trending is the outreach. How many are aware about you also? It's a two-way traffic again. How many of you are aware of such mentorships available? So we, through Your Soul, does this one-on-one mentoring also. And we do coaching in the group programs also. So anyone can reach out to us also on that. But our area of, I would say, the age bracket we coach is 12 to 38.
So how do people reach out to you? Do they email you? Do they call?
They can mail me at yoursoulsoup@gmail.com. They can call on my number, which is 888-466-440. And they can reach out to our website also. So anytime they can reach out, mail us, and we can have a first counseling round, and then we can go ahead with the program.
What are the charges? Could you elaborate?
So it varies from the programs.
So have you made it reasonably affordable?
It is quite affordable.
Underprivileged person be able
Yes.
to afford it easily?
Yes. So as I told that 3% of the revenue goes to my underprivileged or the NGOs. That's what we target. So we work from the seat of truth, authenticity, and third element which I always believe is empathy. So people who are underprivileged, or we sometimes give free also. I think that's the best as a human we can do or into the society. So we are open for that.
That's really appreciable. Thank you so much for taking that effort. That's a wonderful thought to end this podcast with. Thank you so much, Ms. Rajni Julka, for joining us today.
Thank you so much, Akshay, for advice.
Fantastic. Such a remarkable and insightful discussion.